Hi, this is Brian Camelio. I'm the founder and CEO of ArtistShare, and I'm here with Nels Cline. Thank
Hello,
you,
Brian.
Nels. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's a beautiful day today.
It really is in New York City. It's a wonderful day. We're here to talk about Jim Hall as part of the Jim Hall Live project on ArtistShare. And I'd like to begin by asking you, Nels, when's the first time you heard Jim? Do you remember?
Live?
Or just you heard his music?
Well, I would say, strangely, appropriately, it was the Jim Hall Live album that I heard when it was released, actually. I was working in a record store called Rhino Records in West Los Angeles, starting in, I believe, late 1976. But I was a frequent customer, and before I started working there and buying jazz records and all kinds of odd things that they sold there. And the A&M Horizon label had just been launched to not just a lot of fanfare, because it was well promoted, but also in those days, at least in Los Angeles, the 70s inundation of promotional copies were in used record stores everywhere. So it was really easy to get the Jim Hall Live record for $3 or something, which sadly means that Jim didn't make any money, but the record was very accessible. And at that time, Jim was a name that I'd kind of really only heard with great reverence, you know, mentioned by jazz people. And I was a very nascent jazz listener, and was beginning to, around the year maybe 71, I started thinking about playing music that wasn't rock and roll. And I was listening to progressive rock and a lot of so-called jazz music. And I guess for jazz guitar, I was listening to Wes Montgomery and Pat Martino and Joe Pass and Herb Ellis, who were playing in LA a lot at that time. And Jim was not as ubiquitous in Los Angeles at that point to the youngsters. So I think it was the release of Jim Hall Live that kind of made him more noticeable, and all of a sudden had everybody talking. So I thought, oh, I got to check this record out. And so I bought it immediately. And I'm pretty sure that's the first time I heard him. I may have heard the Jimmy Giuffre 3 records on Atlantic, but I didn't own them until later. So I wouldn't have been aware that that was Jim. I think I was listening for Jimmy Giuffre and trying to figure out what I lovingly refer to as Caucasian brainiac jazz, which is some of my favorite music in the world, and is, you know, the West Coast is pretty well known for that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, some really visionary stuff.